Hey everyone, Chemist here, and today I want to go over another piece of hardware with you guys that I briefly mentioned when I did my PS Vita video. So what we're going to look at today is something called the Everdrive GB. And the reason you would be interested in an Everdrive is if you are someone that I would consider like a hardware purist, someone who has seen the emulation options that are available to you, like the PS Vita or some RetroPie systems or computers. Some people like to use their laptops, and you've tried them, and they don't feel the same to you. You're the type of person that really only likes to play on original hardware, but you have ROMs like ROM hacks, or just you like to have all of your ROMs in one place and be able to play on one system without having to bring a bag of cartridges with you. That's where I think the Everdrive is something that you should consider. Now, today I will go over the model that I have, which is the, I don't know how to pronounce this properly, so if I'm doing it wrong, I do apologize, but I'll just call it the CRIC-Z X5, okay? There's the website if you're interested, and I have the X5 model. So the way this works is it's a Game Boy cartridge, and at the top there's a slot for a micro SD card. Now, your micro SD card, if you get one, has to be formatted in FAT32 format. Now, when I tried to do this on my Windows partition of my laptop, my particular SD card did not have that formatting option. Man, I cannot get this to click back in. There we go. Okay, so I did not have that formatting option when I was trying to do this. And the first link I'll have in the description is the link to the website if you're interested in looking at these. Now, the second link I will have is to a website where someone made a program for you to format a micro SD card in FAT32 if the option is not there, which is what I had to do. So in case you guys pick one up and you run into the same issues that I did, I'll have that link in the description for you. It'll be the second one. Now, what this video will focus on is I'm going to review the X5 for you, tell you what I like and don't like. But what I'm going to do is explain how there are three Everdrive models by CRIC-Z, right? The X3, the X5, and the X7. And what I'm going to do to you is explain why I think if you're a hardware purist and you're interested in picking one of these up, that I think you should pass on the X5 and save or wait for a time where you're able to purchase the X7. So let's just go ahead and take a look at one of these guys. I already have some ROMs inside here, and what this will do is this cartridge will work with Game Boy Color, the original DMG Game Boy, and Game Boy Advance systems. Okay, so let's just go ahead and boot it up, and you can already see that the OS is loading, initializing, and then boom, we are inside the main menu. So when you originally boot this up, you will have whatever folder you have your ROMs in. So I just made a folder called ROMs, right? But you'll also have an additional folder there. So if you press on this main menu, the select button, this is where you get an options menu, okay? So you have options, recently played, random game, which is really cool because if you have multiple games, you can press random game and it'll boot one up randomly for you, which is awesome if like you are, you're going to be playing for a while. It's nice to just like boot a random one up. This does support cheats. It has device info, diagnostics, all that stuff. But if you go to options, you can see that I have hide GBC sys on. If I turn that off and go back, there's the GBC sys folder, which has the operating system. Now, if you want to get one of these and boot it up, all you do is you format your SD card to FAT32, and then on the same page where you purchased the Everdrive, there's a link to the OS, and it's just a folder. You just drag it onto the SD card. You have to do nothing other than unzip it. So I like to just hide that because you don't really utilize it. But you also have the option to turn off cheats if that's not something you're interested in, and you can swap the AB button if that's something you desire to do. But then you just choose a ROM. So what you can see right here is this is Pokemon Crystal 2.0.gbc. So this is my Pokemon Crystal 2.0 ROM hack that all my videos walkthroughs on my channel right now are of. When you choose the ROM, you can select and start, which will just boot right into your ROM. You can select only if you're interested in coming back and inputting cheats. And you can also see some ROM info. So if we go here, we can see all the details of our ROM. And explicitly, we can see that the mapper we use is MBC3. If you know anything about mappers, you know, oh my gosh, you know that the MBC3 mapper for Game Boy Color is what allowed a game to utilize the real-time clock function, which is where my first gripe with the X5 comes into play. So if we boot up Pokemon Crystal, right? I'll turn the audio up for you guys so you can hear it. So you can see that it does a really good job of recreating audio. It's done very well. You know that this is my ROM hack and not the original Pokemon Crystal because frame 1 is the OG Pokeball frame from Red, Blue, and Yellow. And also if we go to options, you can see I have an instant text speed option. So you can play ROM hacks on this, okay? So let me turn that volume down. I'm sure you guys are loving my pink Game Boy Advance SP. But since one of the main there's two reasons why I think if you are a hardware purist and you're interested in an Everdrive, you should save and get the X7. The first reason is the X5 does not support the real-time clock, okay? So if I go back, if I turn this off, okay, boot it back up, right, we'll see the OS load and initialize, and then we'll be inside the Everdrive. If I press select, you can see this main menu with the options and everything. If I'm in here with the X7, there's an extra option for real-time clock setup. So some of you probably play a large diversity of Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance ROMs, you know, and maybe the games that you're the most interested in don't utilize the real-time clock. But when I play games specifically on any of these systems, I'm usually playing a Pokemon game. And if you're doing Gen 2 or newer, then you need the real-time clock. So I was not aware that the X5 did not support the real-time clock when I first made this purchase. That's not bad advertising on the website or anything. It's just I didn't research this Everdrive as thoroughly as I should have. And so what I'm hoping to do for you guys is, if that's something you're interested in, I'm hoping if you watch this video, you can make a more informed purchase decision than I did. So that's one main difference, okay? The other main difference is, okay, so let's go in here and let's boot up the ROM again. So it'll load, and you can see it boots up pretty quick. Like it's not a long downtime. It's a very snappy piece of hardware. So what we'll do is we will just go to option and change the text speed to instant real quick, and start the new game. And what I'll do is so here's the thing. If you have the X5, right, that does not support, or the X3, that does not support the real-time clock, whatever you set the clock to at the very beginning of a Pokemon game, that determines the time for the rest of the game. So just keep that in mind if you get the X5 or X3, okay? So what I'll do really quick is I'll get to where I'm inside my bedroom. So I'll turn the brightness up for you guys. So we'll come here. So we'll get inside the bedroom real quick. We'll just be Corey. Okay. So now I'm in my bedroom, okay? Now, if the second reason I would recommend the X7, if I got to inside the game and I had the X7, I could come here, and I'm going to turn the volume down so you guys can hear this. I could come to this side of the cartridge, and on this portion of the cartridge right here, there's a button underneath the casing, okay? So I'm going to try to bring this close so you can hear it when I press it. You saw a light flash up there, and now you can see that reset the Everdrive. That's what will happen if you have the X5 or the X3 versions of this unit. If I would have had the X7 model, what that would have done is that would have loaded a menu to allow me to access save states. So that is, in my opinion, the biggest reason why you should get the X7. The X7 supports save states. And what it'll do is if you had the X7, it just would have brought up an in-game menu and had a list of the save states for that ROM. Save states are one of the biggest reasons why I prefer emulation over traditional cartridges. Like, save states are next level, they're game changing. So the X7 can support those as well as support the real-time clock. So that's just why I would recommend, if you are getting this to play on original hardware and you are interested in Pokemon games at all, I would recommend you get the X7. Now the X5, don't quote me on the prices. I'm going off memory here, and I'm really sorry if I mess these up, guys, but I think I paid around $80 off his website for the X5, and I'm pretty sure, maybe it was closer to 90, and I'm pretty sure that the X7 is just under 130. So it's a pretty big price difference. It's about $30 difference. I think it's a $30 increase for each model you go to. But if you have to play on traditional hardware and you know you're going to play any type of Gen 2 or later Pokemon game when you play these, I would recommend saving or waiting for a point in time where you're comfortable enough to where you can spend the extra money on the X7, because I wish I would have done that. Now, on top of that, if you have to play on traditional hardware, I recommend you guys that you get the AGS 101 Game Boy Advance SP, because what it'll do is it has an actual backlight, not a front light. So the AGS 100 models of the Game Boy Advance SP have a front light, and it looks very washed out. This image is backlit, kind of like a cell phone screen, and it's very clear. This is the best screen that you're going to get on traditional hardware to play Game Boy and Game Boy Color ROMs. Like that's the best one. Now, I bought mine off of eBay. I just found someone selling an AGS 101, and I bought it from them. And this was the only one that was in like decent condition at the time when I purchased, which is why it's a pink shell. So if you buy one, even if it's not the color that you're the most interested in, they sell the shells for these on eBay as well, and they're very reasonable. They're very cheap. So you could just buy one that's in good condition regardless of the color, at least the screen. Buy one where the screen's in good condition. And then you can get a new shell that has a new screen cover and buttons and everything, and just make it the color you actually care about. So this is the system I recommend if you're a hardware purist. If you don't want to buy a PS Vita for any reason that some people just like original hardware, and that's perfectly fine. I definitely think if I could get the PS Vita's quality screen on really, if I could get it on this, there's nothing else I would use. Obviously, I would use my OG Game Boy Color. Another option that you can use if you like the form factor of the Game Boy Color more, this is a modded Game Boy Color from Chopsware. I'll have his store linked in the description as well. I'm not affiliated with anyone, by the way. I have like 6 subscribers, so you don't have to worry about anything I'm doing being sponsored. This one has a actuator button for a front light. So you can see right now this is lit versus unlit, right? It gets decently bright. The image is pretty washed out, even though he does a good job and uses the Loca mod, which is, if you're going to have a front lit Game Boy Color, that's the best front lighting method that you can use. So I think I paid about $60 for this. So if you are more of a Game Boy Color form factor original hardware guy, you can do that. There's also a mod called the BenVen mod that puts this screen into this casing. But I mean, you pay for that. I mean, you're going to be paying over $100 for someone else to do that mod unless you're comfortable soldering yourself. So I mean, some people just aren't comfortable soldering. So those are your options for traditional hardware. So like I said, guys, if you are interested in playing on traditional hardware and you want to have one cartridge that has all your games and the ability to play some ROM hacks made by the community that you just can't play on traditional hardware, I think the Everdrive is a fantastic option. I still recommend the PS Vita over using this with an original hardware, just because, in all honesty, it's cheaper. For the same price as the X7, you can find someone on eBay selling a brand new PS Vita, like not even used. And then you could, if it's 3.60 or below firmware, you could just go straight to the Henkaku hack and start playing emulators there. And if it's newer, you can use the more roundabout method, H Encore, to get emulations on those. The problem with those is that they're kind of like a tethered hack. You have to reinitialize some part of the hack every time you turn the system off. So so if you're just not interested in PS Vitas or any of the like Raspberry Pi modded systems, this is if you have to play on original hardware, the Everdrive is just the way to go. Also, honestly, something that might be worth considering is they make an Everdrive GBA. So if you want to play Game Boy Advance games, you could have this one for Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and then you could have the GBA one for Game Boy Advance. So that's something you could think about as well. But like I say, guys, I think your money is better spent on the X7. So I hope you found this video informative, and I hope you enjoyed and learned something. And I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel, and I hope to see you on another video. All right, bye.